This is Zach Moss, NFL running back and former Utah Utes running back. You're listening to the Utah Utes Football Digest, the source for Utah Utes football. Go Utes.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning into this one with the Utah Utes Football Digest. Super excited to have you guys here. Obviously, that video right there by Zach Moss was super cool. I was super glad I was able to get that done. I hope you guys appreciated that. I know I thought that was super cool. He's definitely one of my favorite Utes players of all time. Just one of those guys where if it was third and short, fourth and short, you just knew for sure he was going to make the play he needed if we gave him the ball. A guy that even if, he met contact in the backfield was getting 3 yards. I mean, like I said, I'm a Jets fan now as in the NFL, and so it sucks that he's on the Bills, but still, I can still appreciate how good he is, and as a Ute, he was one of my favorite players. So that's super awesome. What I wanted to do today, guys, is just kind of take the bye week situation and take it as a moment for us to kind of step back, look at the first 4 weeks we've had with the Utes. It seems like a whirlwind. The Weber State game feels like such a long time ago, but just in general, I just want to take a step back, kind of see where we are now, look at things, and just kind of, recap where we've been as a team. So let's pull up the Weber State game first. I mean, I think we all left the Weber State game feeling really good. Oh, and then just so you guys know, we're going to do a pretty deep dive today. This is going to be really fun for a lot of you more hardcore Utes fans. I'm going to dive into a lot of position players. I'm going to dive into some of our recruiting. It's going to be a really good time, so make sure you guys stay tuned. We're going to go into a lot of stuff here. But back to Weber State. It seems like such a long time ago. Brewer was still the starting quarterback. He threw for 233 passing yards. Tavion Thomas, who fumbles every other play now, was the main running back. I mean, he was splitting with Bernard a little bit, but the guy is talented. I mean, he's a talented back, and he showed it in that game. The only issue is that he can't hold on to the ball. It's awful. And then Kincaid had a heck of a game. I mean, I'm not going to dive too much into Weber State, but I mean, it was a great coming out party for our team. It looked awesome. I think it got us all hyped. I think also, though, when we were watching that Weber State game, we could see that there were some deficiencies in the team, right? Like, I think it was 17-10 somewhere in the third quarter. That was definitely not a good sign for the Utes, right? Let's look up this score. So, yeah, look right here. So, it wasn't that bad. So, it was 13-7 at the end of the first, and then 19-7 in the second, and then we kind of pulled away as the game finished up. But still, either way, just, we should have looked probably a little better against an FCS team in Weber State. But either way, it was a good learning experience for our team. I think we were all super hyped after that. And then we went into BYU, which was probably the toughest game of this year, if you ask me. I thought BYU was a rough loss. I think I felt confident that we were going to win that game. And then that is just not how that went down. The BYU, they came out strong. Their fans came out hard for their team. Looking at the game, they beat us in total yards. They beat us in turnovers. I mean, look at all this. They beat us in first downs. I mean, just a bunch. I mean, it was just a rough go. Time of possession by 10 minutes. Our offense was nowhere to be found in that game, and it was just miserable. I was real nervous heading into San Diego State. So, that's still when Brewer was the starter. In the game against BYU, Brewer had a really rough game. He threw for 147 yards. Bernard, this was his coming out party. This is when I think a lot of us were thinking Bernard was about to be the guy. I know I was. I still have hope that he's going to be a big-time player on this team. But this was the game that really impressed me. Not only did he get those yards, he also was racking up broken tackles. I mean, no one could hold the guy down. And then I think this is a great thing to point out. So the leading receiver in that game was Kincaid with 37 yards. You cannot have, unless we have 10 really good receivers, your top receiver cannot have 37 yards in a game. And he's a tight end. He's not even a receiver. So that was just, that was the game that kind of brought it out, that we had some serious issues to figure out. San Diego State, this was kind of Cam Rising's coming out party. This was awesome. If you guys have been watching my videos, I knew San Diego State was not going to be a cakewalk. I knew this would be a tough team. I knew we'd have to really focus up if we were going to win this game. It looked real rough. I remember it being 24-10, I believe, at some point. And it was like right after halftime. We had that turnover, and then their offense just drove the ball on us. It was real scary for a minute there. Yeah, this part. It was 10 minutes left in the third quarter. It was right after halftime. They just scored 14 unanswered points. And that's when Cam Rising came in and just started lighting it up. We got so close to coming back. I mean, realistically, you look at this, you'd think Utah was the team that won when you look at these numbers. Time of possession about even. We had almost 80 yards on them. Alright, sorry about that. I don't even know if you guys could hear that. It was like an ad playing. That's why I wasn't talking for a minute there. But either way, just looking at the game, total yards, we beat them by about 80 yards. We matched them in turnovers, and we had almost twice as many first downs as they did. You look at the score, you think we're the ones that won that game. Or you look at the yards, and the statistics. It was just so much of that was in a comeback at the end of the game, where Cam Rising just looked like he was going to take us to the promised land. We didn't win that game, but I think we did a good showing. I do want to point out one thing about those two games. Both of those teams are undefeated, okay? BYU and San Diego State are both have 0 losses on their record. I'm not saying they're top 5 teams, but I'm just saying those were not cakewalks. This was actually a tough start to the season. I think we saw how good our defense actually is when they played a team like Washington State. I mean, just against San Diego State and BYU, San Diego State had a monster running back in Greg Bell, and then BYU had a monster quarterback in Jaron Hall. I mean, 2 really good players. And I honestly, I've said it before, I would not be surprised if both of these teams were top 20 teams when it's all said and done. I really felt that way looking at their rosters, looking at their, especially their defense in certain positions. BYU had a great O-line. San Diego State had an amazing O-line and a really good run game. I mean, these were good teams. And then Washington State was the next game. That was the game we just played. It was awesome. I mean, it was finally our first FBS win. It felt like we were dying to get one, and we were so close against San Diego State. I think coming off a win against Washington State is a really good sign for our future. A couple concerns heading into the next game. We're going against a legit opponent. I know they're not top 25, but USC is going to be an any given Saturday kind of team. The amount of talent that they have on that team is higher than ours by a good notch. Coaching-wise, hopefully we can beat them. But I tell you what, if our offense comes out as lethargic as they have really every game, we've been such a second-half team, we're not going to get it done. Rising only threw for 137 yards. He also had 30 rushing yards, and he looked real good running the ball, but 137 is not good. And then high for rushing yards was Pledger. The guy looked like an animal. It's hard for me to say that one of these running backs is going to be a breakout because it's been every single game we have a new running back breaking out. And then again, the high with the receiving yards. This was hurting the quarterbacks a lot, is that we don't have anyone stepping up at receiver. How does our top receiver only have 33 yards receiving, and it's a tight end? And not even one of our elite tight ends. We have 2 really good tight ends. Neither one of them is Fotheringham. Fotheringham's not terrible. He's not garbage. I'm just saying Kincaid and Keithy are, legit tight ends. So that's kind of where we are. I just want to do that little recap and take a look at where the season has taken us. I hope that guy just kind of gives you guys a little recap of where we've been. I know it's been a roller coaster. If you look at that pattern, though, I mean, things do feel like they're looking up. Hopefully, we can get some receivers to step up. Hopefully, during this bye week, the team gets an opportunity to actually take a step back, look at what we've got going, and build a game plan specifically for Rising. That'd be awesome. I'd love to see that, and I'd love to see this team come out against USC and get a win. Excuse me. But I think we'd all agree that we have a lot of potential, but we do need to figure out that offensive game plan. The defense looked amazing against Washington State. Let's actually pull up those numbers. Look at this score, though. So look at this. So beginning of the third quarter, Washington State is up 13-7, and then after that, just destroyed. It was like they could not move the ball on our defense. It was awesome. Clark Phillips with that huge interception return. TJ Pledger, it's showing that 20-yard run, but he also had that huge, 50-yard run right before that. I mean, lots of good in that game. Hopefully we can, ride that out and have that take us into the next chapter here. All right, now let's go ahead and look at our team. So let's look at it position by position. The first thing let's look at, so Pac-12, boom. Sometimes it does this. This is PFF grades. I think a lot of you guys know what PFF is. If you don't, basically what they do is they break down every play. It's kind of the gold standard in college football grading. They just break down every play of every game. All right, so these are the gradings so far for Rising. Rising had a real rough passing situation, and I guess running wasn't good too against, what do they call it, Washington State. So that's where that really bad number comes from. He was actually a 74 going into the Washington State game after a really good showing against San Diego State. Brewer's grade looks better than it is. He was like a 90 coming out of that Weber State game. So that tells you how bad the other two games were for his average to be 68. They were just dreadful. So let's keep going on the list. Obviously, we need Cam Rising to do something if we want this team to have success in the future. But just in general, we just got to keep working on it and hope for the best. Hope we can actually develop a game plan. I think a lot of what we're seeing right now in the disappointments with this offense is a little bit of execution, a little bit of lack of playmakers, and a little bit of just lack of smart play calling design for the offense. It's hard to blame that completely on them because there's been so much change in running back and quarterback that they haven't had a lot of time to really develop a game plan for a specific group. Hopefully it gets better. This position group right here, wide receivers for Utah, this is what they're grading at, guys. I love Britton Covey. I think the guy's a playmaker. I really like watching him. The only thing I think when I look at this, though, is that these guys are hindering this offense. Look at those grades. Nobody is above a 63.7. And look at this over here. Their receiving grades, 63, 57, 54. A lot of their good parts of their grades are the run blocking grades. That's really not what you want to see. I mean, I know it's funny to look at, but the fact that our run blocking grades are the best part of our receivers and their grades overall are that low, it's really a concern. I've been talking about that for weeks. Hopefully we can figure something out with that and have a stronger presence with our receivers. We have a lot of good groups on this team. Receiver is definitely not one of them. I don't know if you guys can hear that. My dog is snoring behind me. So, all right, running backs. This is the opposite of receiver. We have plenty of talent. So Chris Curry, just terrible. That was the guy that fumbled at the 1 yard line. I don't even want to talk about that. What a joke. So this is basically the snap minimum thing. That's just not including people that have not had a lot of snaps. Tavion Thomas. So this grade is going off his actual play. It's not counting like the fumbles that he's had after his knee went down. So I would ignore that. But hopefully he can get in. He is really talented. I think he's broken a tackle every single time he got the ball. The issue is he's just fumbling right afterwards. TJ Pledger killed it last week, though. He's a jitterbug. The guy's amazing. 84 run grade. Really high. I love that Micah Bernard's got the balance and the run and the receiving. Hopefully we can get those guys out there. And, I like, as much as Chris Curry did mess up, I love that his pass blocking grade is so high. Maybe we could find a way to get him in on some pass block reps. Maybe not so much actually carrying the ball. So, all right. And now let's look at tight ends. We don't have any fullbacks that are being graded. Tight ends for Utah. All right. Well, this is one of our best position groups. So this is all season. Like if you notice there, I think every single game, unless I'm mistaken, the tight ends were the ones leading the receiving yards every single game. So that's pretty awesome. Check this out. Dalton Kincaid, I've been talking about him a lot. He's grading at the number 15 tight end in college football. A 77.3 grade for this guy. Real talented, real impressive. Receiving is a big part of that, and he's also pretty well-rounded. He doesn't have any real bad spots. I guess run, but I wonder what the sample size is on run plays. How many rushes has Dalton Kincaid got? But look at this, right? This is fathering him I was talking about. It's a pretty tough grade. I mean, pass blocking, you're not really looking to get too much pass blocking out of a tight end. You're more looking for run blocking and receiving, and those he struggles at. Brant Keithy, not a great run blocker, but a solid receiver, and he's actually a good runner. I'm surprised they don't have a stat for him running because he gets a lot of those sweeps, a lot of those weird design carries, but either way, a pretty solid tight end room. This is where things usually get bad when I'm going through the PFF grades for Utah, is once we start talking about this offensive line. Let's see what we're looking at right now. If you guys have been following the channel, you'll know that there's a lot to be desired from this offensive line. There's a lot of untapped potential, hopefully, or just guys that need to be replaced. Like, I always try to, just preface with, I know these are young kids, but damn, look at this, a 52 grade. How is that a thing? He has a pass block grade of 28.6. That basically means that if we have him blocking, he's losing like 70-something% of the time. And that losing in their grading, if I'm correct, means that it really just means that he can hold a block for 2 seconds. So that means way high percentage of the time he is losing a block in less than 2 seconds. That is nothing, guys. Alright, but anyways, honestly, Nick Ford needs to figure it out. The whole O-line needs to figure it out. I hope this is something they really focus on over this bye week. There's so much to work on, but the O-line is one of the glaring issues. O-line and receivers, they really need a lot of work. Now at guard, we actually have one of the bright spots on this offensive line. It's Daniels. Let's pull it up. All right. Yeah, Braden Daniels, the guy's a beast. Real good run blocker, solid pass blocker. I don't know if he's NFL potential, but, top 50 guard in college football, which means he's a starting guard on, the top 25 offensive lines in college football. Very impressive. This guy's kind of come out of nowhere. Keaton Bills, I noticed him the other day. 66.3 grade. This is actually pretty solid. Kind of a rough pass rush grade, but the run block's so good that you got to love that. When you have two real good run blocking guards, you can really create some holes for guys like Pledger. I think this team's identity is going to be in running the ball. I felt that way every game I've watched. I don't know why we're not doing more. I really hope we start to do a little more and try to develop an identity as a run blocking team until we can, figure out the pass blocking side of things, or not the pass blocking side of things, but the passing game side of things. There's so much when you go through these grades. So much struggles in passing, guys. Okay, Simi Moala, he's solid. I mean, this is a solid player. 66.4, you can't be mad about that. Again, real solid run blocking. Not so great pass blocking. Bamidele Olaseni, this is a fan favorite guy. He's that really big tackle, number 77 with the really long hair. No shots at him. Okay pass block okay run block, kind of bad pass block. But still, again, you can see how much better the run block is on this line. I mean, this is what they do well. So hopefully we can start to really focus on that. I know it's not, once they start stacking the box, it's tougher. It's easier said than done. But the truth is that we can play action out of that, you know what I mean? And use the big tight ends we have to make plays out of that. So, all right, now we're going to move into our defense. All right, so for the defense for Utah, let's take a look. Real good cornerback play, guys. We're starting to see some playmakers here. Fabian Marks, Matele, Broughton. I mean, this is a solid group here, guys. Real solid group. We got 3 playmakers. And then Clark Phillips, not the greatest grade, struggles in coverage, but real good run defense grade. Maybe a guy we could put him in the box, put him in strong safety sort of situations. But you look at this, though, you got to be happy about that cornerback room. This was not a highlight of our team if you go a couple games back. This was not one of the strong points of us, so this is really cool to see. I mean, you look at these 2 coverage grades for number 15 and number 23. I mean, those are coverage grades that tell you should feel comfortable. Excuse me. You should feel comfortable with those guys covering, a wide variety of receivers, and you could man them up. You're not going to have to just, hide them in zones. You can actually man up with these guys. This is a really positive sign. I mean, the defense is definitely the strong suit of this team. If you didn't see that against Washington State, I don't know what you were watching. So, all right, and the safeties, boom. Believe Vontae Davis is still killing it. Let's see. Yeah, Vontae Davis, still a monster, right? Pass rush grade, who cares? You don't need a safety to pass rush. Real good coverage grade, real good run defense grade. You love to see that. Brandon McKinney, dog, get it together. I mean, that's pretty rough. I mean, that's like almost as bad as this offensive line. So let's try to step that up, but hopefully he can figure that out. But real good sign that we have Vontae Davis, so we can lean on him a little bit and not have to have McKinney in one-on-one situations. Okay, this is the spot. This is the spot. Linebackers for Utah. Playmakers galore, guys. If you don't know, first off, I don't even have to search Utah for one of the names to pop up. You see who that is? Devin Lloyd, baby. The number 3 linebacker in all of college football. And that's not through 1 game. That's not through 2 games. That's through 4 games. If you guys watch Utah football and you don't know who Devin Lloyd is, you're missing out. He's number 0 on the defense, and the guy's a playmaker. I mean, he has NFL's written all over him. He really does. I wouldn't say that about a lot of people, but I'm shocked that this guy's not, at least on an NFL team in the very near future. But this is the group, guys. This is our best group on this team by a mile. Obviously, we have these 2 guys that are playing terrible. Not sure how many snaps that's on. I can't believe, look at his drop-off, 67 to 38. But look at this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. 5 legit playmakers at linebacker. So this is one of the guys. Obviously, I mentioned Devin Lloyd. He's a monster. He's on another level. He is probably the best player on this team. I don't even think it's probably. I think it's fair to say now. What the hell? A 87.3 pass rush, 86.7 coverage, and 72 run grade. I mean, I don't know how much you guys know about PFF grades, but that's insane. And then Reed, I mean, I don't even know what else to say about Reed. I mentioned him in the breakdown last week after the game, and that was just from my eye test, right? That was just from watching the game and seeing him everywhere. Every single, like, he was making open field tackles. He was picking off passes. I mean, no wonder he's grading out. He's grading out higher than Sewell. I mean, Sewell's a beast, and Sewell's sample size is a lot larger. But I'm just saying, I mean, this guy's a beast. Look at that, 88.7 run grade. No other linebacker has that good of a grade in anything, including Lloyd. I mean, that's awesome. I think this guy's going to see a lot more reps. I think what you're going to see is this team, I mean, if the coaching really knows what's up, I think we're going to see us lean on the linebackers a little. And I'm not sure exactly what that'll mean for our defense. I mean, are we going to try to make sure we do a lot more 3-4 or kind of exactly how we'll work that in? But I think we're going to try to make sure we get all these talented guys on the field. I mean, I showed you the two safeties. Vontae Davis is a beast, but McKinney's struggling. And we have all this talent here. I mean, look at Fury, look at Reynolds. I mean, these are legit players, guys. Look at these grades. I mean, we just did a breakdown of the whole team. How many 70s did you see? I mean, our best offensive lineman was a lower grade than Fury. I hope we can work these guys in and really, let them shine. I'll stop going on about the linebackers, but I just want you guys to see we have, I mean, I'd probably put this as a top 5, top 10 linebacking group in the country. I mean, we're talking real legit. I mean, if Reed had the sample size, he'd be in the probably top 25 linebackers. So we should feel real good about that. All right, let's see how our interior defenders are doing. They've kind of been up and down all season. All right, let's take a look. Bam. All right, Utah Utes. Okay, so Kafusi's all right, but other than that, I mean, Kafusi's not even doing that great. He just has a good run defense grade. I do like this, though, Mwala. I think he's out for the season, though. But either way, I mean, it's not a great group of guys. Let's take a look at the edge defenders. Hopefully they're playing well enough. I know Mika Tafua has been playing really well. He's developed a lot, and he's been kind of honing his craft. Well, let's see where he's grading out right now and see where the other edge defenders are for the team. Okay. Yeah, Mika Tafua, so he's grading out a 72.9, but if you've been watching the videos, as of last week on the season, he was at an 80.9 or an 80.1. Okay, so yeah, he was at an 80.9 or an 80.1 last week, so that tells you that he struggled in that Washington State game for his overall grade to drop 8 points right there. Okay, so this is one that's a little surprising, that Fillinger is a 57.9 because he was making plays all over the place. He's really young, though. He's not a really seasoned guy, so hopefully as he sees the field more, his grade goes up. That's real surprising. All right, but anyways, guys, that's kind of where the team is right now. I mean, just to recap that with our PFF grades. I mean, if you guys don't know, I know there's a lot more to it, but PFF grades tell you a lot about a player. They break down every single play. No, this is not a endorsement for PFF, but this is what I use to really break down players. Obviously, there's the eye test, and then there's this, and usually they match up pretty well. But with that, we have real good running back room. We have a lackluster offensive line, lackluster receivers, quarterback rooms all over the place. Solid tight end group. Some of the best linebackers in the entire country. Actually, a really good corner group as well. One really good safety. Solid edge rusher. Lack of interior defenders. But overall, I think we have a good team. There's overall a solid squad, but there's a lot of development that's needed. And we're going to need to bring our A game if we want to go in there and beat USC. There's a lot we need to improve on, and a lot of players that need to grow in their roles and really prove themselves if they want to be, one of the better players on this team. But there's so much room to, stand out and become a great player here. All right. Now we're going to move on to is the recruiting class. This is going to be more for the hardcore guys that are, really into this. So kind of why recruiting is important. This is how we get players. This is how you get stars that will develop over time. You bring these guys onto the team, they develop, they become stars. So let's take a look, guys. So Nate Johnson, a 4-star quarterback. I was actually looking at our all-time recruits, and he's pretty high up there on the list. Where is that? All-time commits. He's pretty high up there on that list. He is a playmaker. Clark Phillips, that guy that got the pick 6 the other day, he was the #1 player all-time we've ever recruited. Ethan Calvert. I mean, some of these guys were last year. Last year was one of our best recruiting classes. Garrett Bowles, he's in the NFL now. He's pretty good. Fillinger, he was making plays. We just talked about him a minute ago. Believe that was class of 2020, so 2 years ago. And then where is that guy? Yeah, Nate Johnson. So let's see where he ranks all time. So yeah, he's our number 18 recruit all time. So that's pretty cool. And then we got Peter Costelli from last year. I mean, the guy legit. So we're bringing in good quarterbacks. So what sucks though is as much as we're bringing in good quarterbacks, no matter what the position is, if you don't develop that position, it's not going to matter. And when we look at this recruiting list, right, a real well-rounded group. I know we don't have any 5 stars and we only have the 1 4-star, but really what you want to see, guys, yeah, I'd like more 4 stars, but what you like to see is a good spread out of 3 stars. It's not like we have a bunch of 2 stars on here. We got a lot of 3-star guys. They're solid guys that, you give them a year or 2 to develop and they'll become playmakers. They just need a little more time. I really like this. I like that we got a couple receivers in here. I like that we have another 3-star quarterback. I mean, hopefully we can actually develop these guys. But when you look at this list, I think no matter what happens, I mean, we also have, this is like the prospects list, like who we are going to get. Just to touch on what I was talking about though, we have a lot of players. We have a lot of players that are big time recruits, like a 4-star, high end 3 stars. I mean, at 0.875, once you get to 0.9, it seems like you become a 4-star. But at 0.875, I mean, these are good players. We need to show them that they picked the right school so they don't decommit from Utah. I mean, that's really the name of the game with recruiting nowadays. Players don't want to go to some crappy school. Players want to go to a legit spot where they're going to feel like a star. Okay. So let's take a look at some of these guys that we're real close on. So like Isaiah Moa, we're his favorite school. That's awesome, right? We're right there. Hopefully we can lock this guy down. Like a good finish to the season and at least putting up good fights and showing that we have a solid squad against a lot of these teams is going to mean a lot, right? Just looking at this group right here, I mean, I like that we're the warm for Lander Barton. I mean, a 4-star prospect, a 0.90, real good player. And then we got a bunch of these guys that are warm on us, or here, can we sort by this? No. A lot of these guys, when you see like cool, I'm not sure how much I'd take to that. A lot of the time you pull down this list, these guys that are like cool, right? He's got 3 that are warm, which is better than cool, and then he's got a bunch of cool. So I don't know what our shot is at getting those guys. But I really like, you see a lot of like in-state talent here, like Dallas. He's got us and a few other schools that are warm. Hopefully he makes the right call, stays in the state. I think there's a lot of good things coming from this team. Just kind of recap what we did tonight, guys. This has been fun. I really like this style of video, and this is something I might want to, keep going with moving forward. But we kind of broke down the schedule so far, talked about what we saw from the team. We went over the different PFF grades for all the positions on our team, and we broke down some of the recruiting. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, comment, and subscribe. This is one of my favorite things I've been doing, man. I really like this channel. I like hearing your guys' feedback. Seriously, if you guys have any comments or suggestions or ideas for videos you'd like to see that maybe I'm blanking on, seriously, I'd love to hear from you guys, and I love interacting with you guys. But on that note, that's going to be it. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day. Go Utes.